There are few Australian musicians quite as exciting as my guest today. She's made hits in the worlds of electro dance bangers, dreamy pop melodies, and most notably, hard-hitting avant-garde rap. With her musical skills, she's put out 2 EPs, a studio album, won a Rolling Stones award, played at Splendor, Laneway, Groove, and to name a few, has collaborated with JPEG Mafia, Troye Sivan, Duckworth, and now even Instagram. On top of that, she's even put out a fashion line called Last Year Was Weird, which is a name I think I'm forever going to relate to. She's blowing up, she's insanely talented, and she's sitting right across from me. It is Tkay Maidza.
What up?
Welcome to Bad Portraits.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, thanks for making the time. Thanks for flying up from Melbourne.
Oh, no problem.
Sweet.
It's actually from Adelaide, but...
Oh, did I get that wrong? Because you're a manager. I was just assuming that you came from the same spot.
No, we came... my family's in Adelaide, so I've been spending more time in Adelaide. But I'm usually like in Melbourne quite a lot as well, so it's like my second home.
Always good to start on a mistake then.
Yeah. Well, it's human, so...
Oh, bless up.
Bless.
Unreal. Well, speaking of humanising things, I kind of want to start on humanising your music taste because, as I was saying before this interview started, I did have a little scroll of who you might be listening to.
Yeah.
And I saw some pretty cool names. I saw Doja Cat, Baby Keem, Wafia, Kari Fo, The Kid Laroi, Jungle Pussy, heaps of insanely cool, very refined taste.
Cool. Yeah.
So I wanted to know, what's your guilty pleasure?
I don't know, like I just love like top 40 pop. That's probably my guilty pleasure. But I don't think that's like a guilty pleasure.
Like Havana?
By
Havana.
That's a really good song.
It's a
That's
catchy,
a really well-written
song.
And actually, the girl who helped write that song, she wrote a lot of Selena Gomez's recent hits like Wolves and like I've been waiting through the jungle. It's like all the same person that's like being a part of those songs, and that's probably why, because I like really like her writing.
Oh my god.
So I really like that kind of stuff, and maybe Halsey is like my guilty pleasure,
right.
But I think she's dope, so
yeah,
it's not really guilty pleasure because she's just cool, you know. Yeah.
One time I saw this amazing, TikTok. I saw this sweet TikTok video to Halsey's Without Me, but the dude who was doing it, and he's like, if they're full of fucking more.
Yeah.
And he's doing all the TikTok moves, but he looks exactly like Hitler.
Oh.
Dude, it was nuts. It was like the most insane thing I've ever seen, because here's this dude who looks
creepy.
like a young Hitler, and he's just like TikToking about to Halsey.
Yeah, I find it so interesting watching TikToks because I'm like, wait, this is really popular and people are doing like really weird, awkward dance moves, and you're like, I'm so confused, but I get it.
I know, and it's teenagers and stuff.
Yeah, it's really teenagers, and they're just like...
And then you got someone like Blanco Brown blowing up.
Yeah, you're just like, okay, cool, that's the way the internet is now. It's just like you have to know the choreography, and then that's kind of like, well, they did it. But
and it's insane to think that musicians now are using TikTok as a tactic. Or
it's such because it's like for the people. Like TikTok is very like for the people, but it's also like another different kind of person as well. So. It
is.
Yeah.
I think it's in its formative stages of blowing up and becoming maybe like the next Instagram or something like that.
Yeah, that's scary.
I know. Social media in general is terrifying.
It's cool. Yeah, because you're like, I have to start again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. Well, speaking of start again, I do want to start right at the start of the story.
Yeah.
So you were born in Zimbabwe and you moved here when you were 5. Do you remember much about life in Zimbabwe?
I remember certain events. I mean, they're probably like traumatic in a way, but not always traumatic, but just like, say if, I used to be able to go for a walk, and a walk would basically be like walking 20k to like another like little town to go see a friend, and my mum would be like, you went missing the whole day, but I would have been 5. But it was like no one would kidnap you or anything. It was just like kind of safe to do that. So it's just like small things like that, or it's kind of crazy, right?
I grew up just up in the north.
Yeah, I would literally basically go missing for a day, but it was almost fine, but in a way not fine. Or like there was another time where my friends and I were going to get DVDs from maybe not DVDs because it was like 2000, but maybe VHSs. And we'd just like yell out to these old guys being like, you think you're so cool, like 5-year-old type things. And then they would chase us home, and you like literally thought we were going to die. But
wow,
it was like funny at the same time. So,
but there's young TK giving them the 5-year-old sass.
Yeah, it's really me when I was a kid.
With a sweet copy of Shrek in your hand.
I was such a turd when I was young. Like, just, big ego for a kid. Very big ego.
What a refreshing thing to say, because I think that about most children.
Right, exactly. It's like, I mean, my little brother was like that as well. He was just, just scream and be like, give me that, or, where's my present if I was away for a couple of weeks and came home, and it's like, what do you mean? like you can't just want those things. But I guess when you're a kid, you just assume that the world is there for like to give you everything, I guess.
I'm waiting to grow out of that phase, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to live,
Yeah, why not? Just bring it all to me.
Exactly.
And then you moved to Kalgoorlie and Whyalla and later Adelaide, following Mines from what I've read.
Yeah.
Yeah, and naturally, I mean, I also moved around a lot as a kid, so I think about this, like I think we moved house every single year.
Yeah.
And what I find is that there are certain benefits. Obviously, there's a million deficits that come with that. Like, you've got to keep making new friends, but there are benefits. What are some of the benefits that you notice by moving a lot?
You learn to be independent, that's for sure. You learn a lot about people because I think when you go to different towns, you just assume certain stereotypes. But I think by the time when my family moved to Adelaide, I was like, okay, this girl's a nerd. She definitely wasn't a nerd. She just didn't do her homework. She was just quiet. Or you'd be like, oh yeah, she goes out a lot, definitely doesn't go out a lot, wants to do her homework. So it's just like, you think you know everyone, but when you go to different cities, you're like, oh, it becomes harder and you just start to realize that not everyone is who they seem and you have to get to know people, and then also you don't have to get to know people. So it's just like learning to prioritize like what's important to you and who is important to you at the same time.
I think that's so true. That's also such a concise answer. I'm amazed you just said that on the spot.
I was like, did I just think?
Yeah. Did I do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I completely agree with you about not, you don't have to get to know people. I think that's the amazing thing about moving so much is like those boundaries just kind of evolve naturally.
Yeah, but the weird thing about that being like, oh, I don't have to know people, it's like, am I becoming closed up because I've been burnt too much? Life is tiring. People are tiring. You're like, am I jaded or is this really... Well, it's like it's learning that.
Is there an age to be jaded?
Right, yeah, because I mean, some people get really jaded when they're 11,
And then you meet 80-year-olds who've been through the wars, and they are just the happiest people.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess there's no one way to live, but it's just finding your balance.
Well, for the record, you don't come off jaded.
I mean, I'm balanced, sort of.
Just you wait.
No, yeah, wait till you get to know me. No,
I swear to God, about 15 minutes, I'm walking out. And then I've read online that you finished school at 16. How did that come about?
It was because I started year 1 early.
Right.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where I think it's like if you start midway through the year, you either have to go into the next year or you go ahead, and my parents were like, just let her go ahead. And then also I was born in December, so I'm also like a whole year behind everyone else anyway, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
So you were the young kid.
Yeah, I was like the young kid. Because everyone would have been 94, and then I was like 95 December.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you would have even been younger than the people in the year below you.
Yeah, I would have been, like either younger or same age, basically. Yeah.
And so you do your HSC and you finish. So it was a normal...
It was a normal thing, and I don't think I was much smarter than anyone. I think I was just like... started a bit earlier.
Damn, because it reads like you advanced 2 years. Which
right,
I'm like,
I'm like, that's exactly what I did.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Then, of course, a year later, you drop Brontosaurus and blow the heck up.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was. What was that like, that process?
It was very foreign to me, obviously, because I didn't know what Triple J was. I was just used to, X Factor, The Voice, commercial radio, and that
just
whole...
the cool stuff.
Yeah, the very cool stuff. I mean, the stuff that everyone's fed to believe, like the facade. It's not really facade, but I guess that's like one part of the music industry.
I think that's a good word for it.
Exactly, yeah. So when this whole Triple J thing started happening, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. But also, it was interesting because in year 12, one of my assignments I did was longevity in music, and I kind of figured out that the way to like build a career was doing, I don't know, just like building a profile, writing good music, and then finding the right people to, like managers and all of those kind of steps, which kind of aligned with the whole Triple J thing. So when my mom was like, you should be on TV, I was like, no, I think this is the way. If the song's on the radio and people connect, then that's what's meant to happen. You can't just like be on TV and then have a billion fans because they probably won't actually connect to you. So for some reason, like my assignment was aligning with what I thought was meant to happen. So I was like, whoa, this is cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So when it did get picked up by Triple J, was there something that you saw? Was there like a tangible thing? Did you see like the plays increase?
It was more so just industry attention.
Opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. So instead, like you said, going on these shows and you have some contract that you sign and you're already kind of on a label. It was kind of like, Universal, Sony, Warner, They're just like, who is this kid? because I was 16, on dance music, rapping. It was just like a whole lot of, this is so random. For that time as well, it was 2013, I guess.
Yeah.
So they were just really interested, and then I found a manager that was like, I'll just handle this for you and we'll see how it goes. So that's kind of just how it happened. It was more so like an industry play for like the first year or so, just to be like, I can really do this. So I was just writing music to like please A&Rs and stuff,
Yeah, of
to
course,
be
of
like,
course.
please sign me. I really want to do this for the rest of my life.
Wow, I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of the natural thing that you do, because you still think you're the teenager in Adelaide.
Exactly.
Even though you've got this massive thumper out.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, and especially when these opportunities come, you're like, okay, I just really want to achieve this and have, you know, big company people, and you don't really have a full insight of like, you know, you're the artist and it's your like project and it's your vision. Whereas I think then I was like, I just want a company to pick me up and, you know, my life will be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I get these things.
Yeah, once I get all of these people working for me, it's over for everyone.
Conditional happiness.
Yeah.
The Disney syndrome.
Yeah,
Happily
exactly.
ever after. It's
Yeah,
just waiting
exactly.
there, I swear.
Yeah, but it's literally like once you get that, it's like that's when you really start working.
It would have been such a quick baptism, because that was your second song, right?
Yeah, it was my second song. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's like that's the lottery, I think, equivalent of the music industry.
For sure. It doesn't happen to a lot of people. I mean, you know, I have a lot of friends and I'm like, you're so talented. I don't get how some things work for me and some things don't work for other people, and vice versa. But it's just like, it's lottery, it's luck.
Yeah.
Some things just like add up and you can't really question it.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. And then the Mazda ad, how did that come about?
That was just like an industry thing. Yeah. If you have like a publisher, they just pitch, or Mazda will come to you and be like, hey, we're looking for a song that sounds like this.
True.
And then Brontosaurus worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of, I mean, because we're talking about, you know, things like the X Factor.
Yeah.
Which in between the X Factor, we get a Mazda
Oh,
ad.
yeah. That,
So
yeah, that
all
was
of a
on
sudden-
so much.
Yeah. Did that help your career, do you think? Was that a significant move?
I think so. I think it also brings, it aligns your reality with other people's reality, because it's like your parents might be like, oh, you're doing music, it's cool, but they won't really believe until they start seeing it on MTV, which is what they just like have on in the background. Or if, you know, they're watching, I don't know, a random movie on Channel 7 and then, oh, the song comes on and they're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is on TV, and there'll be like 100,000 people watching at the same time.
And even though
Yeah.
you know that your accolades are things like Triple J and online things,
Yeah,
you know
it's
that
like, yeah,
to
that's like
appease
the
that
real
side.
people. It's like when the
Yes.
real people start seeing it, then you're like, okay, cool, other people be like, this is a real thing, you know?
God, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And then obviously you start putting out a few more songs, Aha, Switch Lanes, MOB. What sort of opportunities are coming around? You're talking about them, but what sort of exact
Around that
offers?
time?
Yeah.
I was getting offered, I played South by Southwest, which is like a really big festival showcase thing, so I did that. I ended up supporting Troye Sivan around that time, so I featured on his album around that time. It was like, there was a lot going on. Played Splendor, and that was after Aha came out, so that would have been the first song from my actual project.
Oh, true.
So it was like I think they put me on because they're like, this is going to be like the next big thing. So it was just like, you know, a really cool opportunity. And then I toured with Years and Years in the UK, toured with Rita Ora around that
Yeah.
time. It was just like a lot of people were really interested. So I was just zooming around, trying to meet the right people and align everything really well. But it was like a big whirlwind.
How did you adapt to that?
I think I was just excited for everything that was happening, so nothing felt weird. It was more so, I'm so excited, I'm hopping on the plane again. I get to eat all this food again. I get free da-da-da-da-da again. So I was never really like, oh, this is so tiring or this is intense. It was just like, I get to be away from my parents again.
Yeah.
It was fun. Yeah, it's like everything you want, so you're just like excited by everything. And maybe I was like too excited, because I remember if someone asked me a question, I'd be like, "Whoa, it was so cool," but I wasn't really saying anything. I was just like overwhelmed by everything, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I've definitely done the same things.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it was dope.
Did you ever have a moment where you're thinking you might be looking at like a screaming crowd, or you might hear yourself on, you know, a radio station that you've idolized, where you're like, shit, am I dreaming?
I remember when I played Splendor for the second time, which was like the year after 2015, after the EP and everything came out, and I think MOB would have just came out as well. And we played around 5 p.m. It was like a really good slot. Sun's about to go down. And then at the end of the whole set, I just cried for like an hour. I was so overwhelmed. Yeah, it was just like, couldn't control it. That was like a, whoa, this is really my life right now. And I had all of my friends there, and we had these inflatables on stage. So it felt like a real stage setup for me for like the first time, and we like really worked hard at it kind of thing. So that felt like a really good moment.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that was like the first, you're like, whoa, this is really happening.
Do you feel numb to that yet?
Not really. I mean, you know, I feel like now, because it's like 5 years in, I'm more like, whoa, can't believe this is still happening. So if I get to do something again and again, now it's more like I'm like really grateful for it. There's some things I get numb to. I mean, if people are like, you're so cool, like compliments, I don't really like them. So after a while, I'm like, okay.
Or like photos when you're walking around a music festival?
I don't mind those, but I think it's more so the way people approach me when they ask for them. That's probably what can make a difference.
What's a right and a wrong approach?
I don't know, just like saying hi and then asking for a photo is fine. Or I just hate it when people come up to me and they almost seem like I should be grateful that they asked me for a photo, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of
sense.
sense.
It's like someone be like, can I get a photo? And you're like, sure. And then they'll say, you must be loving this. And I'm like,
ouch.
I'm like, okay.
Ouch.
Yeah. Or if they just say, we have to get a photo, or like they make it kind of forceful.
They overvalue their attention
and
toward you.
I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't know. Still grateful, but I don't,
Just gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude, but also...
Also, I got to go over there.
Yeah, exactly. Or if they hang around too long, they're just like, like, whoa, your life must be just all these, I don't know, semi-condescending. But I guess they don't mean it, but still they seem kind of condescending in a way, you know?
Damn.
Yeah.
And in terms of your life must be like, what has surprised you about all this success?
I guess the fact that I just get to do what I want to an extent, you know? Like, I could have been in university. Like, I went to university for a year, and I didn't really like that. And I could have been working at a department store. I really didn't like that either. But I just like it that I can work any hours that I want, and what I put in is what I get out of it, kind of thing. Like, that's the most surprising thing. And it's like when you really like put your mind to something and you get what you expected or more, that's the like, oh, this isn't, you know, life, the universe.
Outcomes. I like that inspirational side to you as well. The fact that you're not afraid to say stuff like that.
Well, I think it's good to be positive. Otherwise, how do you attract things? You know, some people can be negative and still work hard and then get what they want, but I feel like
those cases are a lot harder to find.
Exactly, yeah.
And then in terms of evolving into the other crafts, with like last year was weird.
Yeah.
How do you see your output? Because I know some people often talk about I am creative, and the genre is it's irrelevant. Like whichever genre I go to, that'll be it. Is that how? Because I mean, obviously with music, you're so transient across multiple genres. Is that how you see multiple crafts as well?
Kind of. I think for me, it's just like I'll just, you know how people just like, I don't know, consume music. It's like they just become obsessed with one thing. And it's like, if I really want to do something, I'll probably spend like 2 months being like, I just really want to make an R&B song. So I'll probably make like 10 of them, and 9 of them will be really bad. But then there'll be one that's like, oh, this is kind of special. And then once I'm like, okay, cool, done that, let's move on. That's kind of how I move from like different genres. But I think also, because I started in the dance world and it was more so pitching songs to producers rather than writing for my own project. And then the ones that I had for my project were leftover songs. That's how I'm able to like adapt to things, because usually I was just pitching. So I think in a way it's just turned into me pitching songs for myself eventually into becoming that person that I want to be. But like it's still trying to find the niches and then put it together and make it less random.
That's cool. I feel like there's a parallel between moving around different cities and stuff and then moving around different crafts and genres.
Yeah. It's definitely the same. Things. It's like, you become what you're immersed in. And then if you move somewhere else, you become another person. Like I find it when I go to Adelaide, I'm like, no makeup, more normal. But if I come to Sydney or Melbourne, my friends are so different here. So I'm just like, oh, green, everything, just like big
super
chains.
extra.
And then, yeah, I'm more like bold and like, wow. But in Adelaide, I'm like, I don't really want anyone to see me right now. So then I'll probably make more ambient, chill music because I feel like very emo.
Just a Juice WRLD album.
Yeah, exactly. Next.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time that we try another craft. So
Drawing.
yeah, that's it. Just see if we can do it. So what we're each going to do, now I have a quite featureless head, so it's a bit harder for you, is we're going to try each draw a portrait of each other.
Okay.
All right. Here's the catch. We're going to do it in 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes? Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Ready?
Let's go.
Set. 3 minutes.
Go. Oh.
All right. Well, I feel like you've done the best portrait that I've seen on that. That's really good. That looks like. Have you ever seen an artist called Nunca?
No, I haven't.
No, he does like all this geometric stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure this one
see
can
it.
see it. Yeah. That actually looks like me. That's like the best one that I've seen
really?
so far. That's incredible.
I tried.
Yeah. Holy shit. Most people just draw a
I wish
stick
I had
figure
more
with
time.
like glasses.
Yeah.
End up looking like a combination of the two dudes from Breaking Bad.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a good show, by the way.
Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Stole
I only
my
just
aesthetic.
started watching it.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Far out. Well, here's my TK.
I love it so much.
Yeah, little
it's
TK.
so cute.
Yeah, I know. Just small. Yeah, got
love
the wavy
it.
hair. Tried to get all the green as
Oh,
well.
I love it. That's so cute.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Well, let's move into the next round. Fuck, I'm impressed.
Oh, really?
That is so cool.
I tried.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing.
You look grumpy. You're like,
I almost never am. I'm like such a goofy dude. All right, sweet. So I've pulled up a couple of tweets. This section is called Further Explanation, where I just want just a bit of a backstory on
all
this.
right.
All right. On August 22, you said, I always knew I was special since 2nd grade. I always made cool things for show and tell, Lamau. What was going through your mind?
I was like, I don't know. What time did I write that? Does it say? Oh, it doesn't say.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
I like, recently, I'm trying to be a bit more problematic with my tweets. So I'm like, anything that comes to my head that's a bit conceited or narcissistic, I just write it. And that's kind of just like...
I love that for so many reasons.
Well, that's like, people think that way. So I feel like when you just write those things, everyone's like, oh yeah, actually I definitely resonate with this.
I mean,
so that's
I think that's why I screenshot it, because I'm like, yeah, me too. Like, my arrogant ass is just reading that being like, fuck yeah.
You're like, yeah. I mean, yeah, when I came to show and tell, I was like that kid that would probably try too hard.
Well,
And
what was an example of something?
I don't know, like I would definitely, if they're like, oh, make something cute, I would come up, I'll just make like a house or something, like a cardboard house.
Like a full diorama.
Yeah, just like really, glitter everything, and then I would have a whole thing to say about it, and I'd be like, mine is definitely the best one. That was kind of my energy.
Damn.
Yeah, primary school me was really bad. I had this one day where I stole lunch from this girl. Like, that's how annoying I was.
She had it coming.
Do you know what? I told her I was going to do it, and she didn't believe me, so I did it.
She shouldn't have doubted you.
She had nuts and crosses. Those, like, fruit lolly
No, I don't.
type of things. It was like...
Might have been an Adelaide thing. No, sorry, I always love writing off Adelaide
Everyone's
stuff.
always like, Adelaide. Yeah.
All right, so this is my favourite. Life feel different when the inner you is saying, no, bitch, you can do it.
It does.
Just straight up, you're your own hype man now.
Yeah, you need that inner voice is so important, That's like your cheerleader. Imagine having an inner bitch that's like, that's too hard.
Oh, I don't have to imagine very hard.
Yeah. I mean, we have those days, but
Yeah.
it makes such a difference.
It really does.
Because it's the difference between, am I going to sleep all day or like actually try to do something?
Oh, awesome. Did you always have that, or did you develop it?
I mean, some days it rotates.
Yeah, right.
I think if that's from the last year or so.
That was May this year.
May.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have just felt like I was in a good place.
That's cool.
And, life goes, you have the troughs and the dips and stuff. So I think now I'm really like, okay, I'm making intentions and like really, this is where I really want to be. So I feel like when I achieve something, I'm like, okay, this makes so much sense. And it's like my reality is aligning and stuff. So it just feels so much better. And that's why if I'm happy, it's actually like a real genuine happiness because I'm like, I feel like I'm meant to be doing what I'm doing.
Oh, So awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I should just be a Buddha or something.
Yeah, or like internet
Or like
guru. Yeah.
a yoga teacher.
Yeah. It's all about balance, guys.
It's all about that.
I swear to God, it's about balance, all right?
Yeah.
This is one of my other favorites. Why are people still trying to add randoms on Facebook? It's weird.
Oh my God.
It's fucking weird.
It's so weird.
I'm glad you wrote that.
Yeah, Facebook is so personal. I only speak to my parents on Facebook. So if someone tries to add me, I'm like, one, have you met me before? If no, why are you adding me? Two, if they add you and they message you saying, hey, it's like, why? Like,
What are we going to do?
Yeah, it's like, what do you want?
Exactly.
Yeah, there's just too many. It's almost like going to someone's house and saying,
Just knocking
and
on the
just
door.
knocking on their door. It's like, what do you want?
God damn, I agree. I agree so much.
Actually,
I think it's so odd.
yeah, it's so weird.
I'm not a fan of online small talk in general.
Neither am I. I hate it when someone's like, so how have you been? And you're like, what do you want?
You're like, I'm going to be in my phone for the next 10 minutes. I hope you understand what that means. Like, you know.
Yeah, it's just like, I just don't get it.
Damn. All right, this one's another cracker from the vault.
Yeah.
People will say you're weird and then jack your swag, lol, SMH. It's always fun to read out lols and SMHs.
SMH.
I feel like a newsreader. Yeah.
I mean, I have like a lot of, I don't know if it's internal, it's actually external beef, but I just internalize it a lot more and just put it on Twitter. I don't know, people do jack my swag.
What's a good example of some swag jacking?
I don't know, it's like so, it's like, if I did say, I'd almost be calling out people.
True. Then you'll get cancelled.
Exactly. But I don't know. It's just like, I feel like for me, because I'm always looking for something new and, you know, you might release a song or just do something or, you know, I might wear crazy clothes and then people are like, oh, you look kind of bright today or it's kind of different. And then 3 weeks later, it's like they're wearing green pants as well. And you're like, I thought you didn't like them.
Yeah.
Or it's like, I remember when you told me that wasn't cool, you know, or you just said something that was a bit condescending. So it's just like that whole thing. Or, you know, I don't know. I have like, when people hit me up being like, oh, this song's pretty cool. And then you find out they're working with a producer that made, and then you find out they wanted to just remake that song, basically.
Oh, ain't that the freaking business?
And you're just like, oh, okay. I guess I'm doing a good thing.
Flattery is the best form of
Yeah,
compliment, right?
but then also people, you know,
Imitation's the best form of flattery, that's what
exactly.
I mean.
And but I also think like if people hate it, it's because they're not really used to it yet.
Yeah, or
'Cause,
because
you
it's
know.
a threat or something like that. Which, I mean, we can compliment ourselves all day with
Yeah, we could
calling
talk
stuff
about
threats.
this
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah. No, I freaking agree with you.
Yeah.
And then on that note, the final tweet that I've got is, imagine being a hater.
Could you imagine?
No. Like, I could imagine being a professional critic of stuff, because I do a
Yeah.
lot of satire and critiquing of culture, but I do that in an arena where I am free to be criticised.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine ever just dropping a comment.
Just logging in and being like, you look kind of weird, or that's kind of cool for a lame person.
Fuck.
It's like
the backhanded compliment.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
Didn't
a weird.
expect this from Adelaide.
Right. I think it's normal for you to, you know, watch a video on YouTube or listen to something and be like, that's pretty bad, but I would never write it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you understand that it's all a process, and now that process is
Yeah.
public.
And someone will probably see it and be upset.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there any hate that you've received that sticks out?
Yeah, I've seen a bit. I mean, what did I see? I feel like most of the bad stuff is usually, honestly, I don't even remember the like hate. I haven't seen any hate that really like hits me really that hard lately. Oh, actually, I remember something because I remember when I first started touring a lot, a couple of people would be like, oh, TK's on this lineup again. So it's just like, that was a top comment for something or a couple of things. And I was just like, okay, I'm really going to comment on this. And I just said, imagine being invited to do something you love again and again. I don't know if you'd say no. And everyone was just like, oh, that's a good point.
It's a damn good point.
Yeah, it's like you would just do it kind of thing.
What were the reactions
yeah,
to
everyone's
you
just
saying
like,
that?
oh. But usually if you respond to them, they're like, oh, I didn't think you would see this. You know,
That's
so
so
it's
true.
like, yeah.
Or when you write back, they're like, oh, no, man, I was just joking,
Yeah,
just joking.
I actually love this song.
Yeah, I think this slaps, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
all
like-
that. One time I got a hater at 7 in the morning, and I was like, that guy woke up and was that's how his day started.
You started that day like that.
I'm like, dude, just don't log on until after breakfast.
Exactly.
Come on, man.
Yeah, when someone's like, this is cancer, and you're just like...
You're like, is it?
Is
it cancer? Yeah, I don't know,
Okay.
man. I don't know. Get a room full of mirrors and take a good hard look at yourself.
Or when they write like a long ass paragraph, it's just like, and it's like very punctual and well written. It's like you really sat there and thought that out.
Mate, there's half an hour you won't get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go for a run.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine doing that. So yeah.
Me either. Unreal. All right. Well, we're moving into the final stretch of the interview. Do people often tell you that you inspire them?
Quite a lot actually. I think even more recent, I've been getting a lot of messages on Instagram, just in my others inbox, being like, "Thank you so much," and you're really inspiring for doing what you do and just like being yourself, which is cool because
cool.
I don't know. I feel like most of us spend half of our days being like, "Who am I?"
Right. Just a permanent life crisis.
Yeah.
There's
just
no
always,
quarter or mid. It's just worry.
Exactly. So yeah, actually, quite a few people do say
true.
that to me.
Who's like a typical person who might say that to you, or is it quite varied?
It's kind of varied. Sometimes it's older men, sometimes it's young, 18-year-olds, sometimes it's like young African girls or like other rappers that are like guys and they're tough. So it kind of varies. Even, my parents or my brother, that's still like, they're all different people. So yeah, it's pretty varied.
Wow.
Yeah. I think most of it is just like having the courage to do something. I think that's, when I look at artists that I admire, I'm also like admiring their courage to just go for it,
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I definitely get that from your type of music, particularly with the genre bending, because that's something that I think a lot of people fall into the trap of. They're like, okay, I'm a rapper, so I rap.
To keep doing this.
Whereas you seem to just drop this, and this, and this. And I gotta say, Awake is like my favorite song.
Oh, thank you. That's my favorite so far as well.
Yeah.
That's like a new world that I'm like...
It is so good. And it feels like you're moving over to the US market as well with the JPEG feature.
Yeah,
and of course you had Duckworth earlier as well.
Yeah. But this feels like the more like...
Because JPEG's so in the scene.
Yeah. I can't believe but I can't believe because we got him in December to feature on it. And him then would have been a lot more underground. Now it feels a bit more like
this has been his year.
Yeah, he's shot like a star, shooting star.
Between a couple meme pages I follow, Anthony Fantano, and then all these other
people.
Oh,
he's just like
shot up in that world.
Yeah, it's dope. It's really cool.
Far out.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've shot up, or do you feel like your shoot up is coming?
It's coming. I think it's just starting because I feel like now it's finally aligning. And also, I don't really know where my definition of shooting up is because it's like, it could be to exist in a cool world or to be a Selena Gomez. So it's just like, there's different levels to it. But I think it's like starting in a way that it makes the most sense now. Yeah.
I agree. I read a YouTube comment of yours the other day, and it was the top comment. It's like, why are people sleeping on Tkay?
Oh.
I think it was like from a year ago. So yeah. Do you ever feel slept on?
Kind of, but in a way, I kind of get it. You just have to be consistent, and you have to have a good output, and just like put out solid work consistently. I mean, me in 2015, it was like that EP with MOB, and then I had the Do It Right with Martin Solveig, and it was just like all this stuff happening. And I remember that just like a lot of people were talking about me then. So I think it's just like the consistency and just like being intentional. So I think I've had that moment, so it's like starting again and just being consistent and having that body of work is like the goal first, and then if it's meant to be, then I won't be slept on. You have to like prove your worth.
Yeah. I definitely think you're on that path, without a doubt. I feel like the state of rap in Australia, obviously, I mean, you're from Adelaide, so you know, from the home of skip hop,
right,
and beers and barbecue rap,
right.
And obviously it's gotten to the point where it is now, and now we're starting to cross over into the mainstream market.
Yeah.
And I think names like yourself will be one when we look back at the history of hip hop in 20, 50 years or something.
It's like the evolution.
Yeah, well, I think that'll be it. You'll be an Australian export, at least seen that way.
Yeah. It's cool to be a part of the game changes.
It's so cool. I've noticed that through your following, you have an inclination for things like positive self-talk, life numbers, and self-love. And even through this chat, I've noticed a bit of it, which, I mean, is something that resonates with me as well.
Yeah.
Was caring about your mental health something that you've always had, or did you have to learn it?
Do you know, I think my mom has always taught me about the power of like intentions and manifestation, but it wasn't as direct. I think it was just like she hoped for the best, and she would say, where do you want to go next? And I'd be like, oh, I'd really love to go to Paris for a holiday. And then my parents got a round the world trip holiday for us when I was 10.
Hell yeah.
But it was like, because we just kept being like, we really want to do it. And then with the whole music thing, she's like, how are you going to do it? And I'm like, I don't know, but I think it's going to work out. And the whole journey has always been, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. So I feel like that's always been in my head. And then somewhere along the way, I lost it. And then I started doing yoga. And then I was like, oh, this is actually a thing.
Yeah. And it's articulated in a more professional way now.
Yeah, it's like the whole numbers and all these things. I was like, oh, I understand that whole mindset, because I feel like that's the way I've lived my life the whole way through. But when you see it written on paper, it just like reminds you.
And on a completely different note, you have an intense love for fashion.
Yeah.
To switch back to mental health, what do you think a good outfit does to your mental state?
It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you're being yourself, and I feel like your outfit can, project your personality without you saying anything as well. So I think that's what I do. If I feel like if I'm wearing black, I'm not trying to project anything, but if I'm wearing bright colors, you kind of understand, well, I hope you understand who I am before you even speak to me.
I agree.
But then
Semiotics.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then sometimes you can wear crazy colors and people will be like, yo, what's up, sister? And you're just like, you're like, I wish I wore black today.
Yeah, I feel like the center of attention.
Yeah, it's just to project how I feel.
Yeah.
It brings confidence and individuality.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And you can tell me if I'm asking too much with this next question.
Yeah.
But this is something I'm curious about.
Yeah.
As an African woman in an industry and even in a country that is largely dominated by, well, I guess like straight white guys, right? Yeah. What's something that you will have to face that I'll never have to face? Or someone like me, demographically.
I think it's just like I feel like for me, I've probably had to work twice as hard, and I have to like constantly like prove myself to people, because they'll always be like, oh, that's just Tkay. She's like cute and funny. And then when you do something that they don't expect, they're like, didn't know you could do that. And you're like, I knew I could do that, but I had to show it to you. It's, you know what I mean? Or if it's like, I have a vision, I have to make a massive mood board and actually like show you exactly what I want to do. Because people will be like, I don't understand that, and I don't know where you're coming from. So I think, yeah, it's just like you always be misunderstood for exactly like your intentions and where you want to go. And also there's that whole thing that people believe there must be like one girl at the top, whereas in another, like for guys, there could be like 10 guys that do the same thing and they all earn the same amount of money, whereas like girls, it's like there's like one Beyonce, one Rihanna, but it's like always Beyonce versus Rihanna, and there's like one Nicki, one Cardi, but like there's never been like them at the top. But there kind of has been, but everyone always like likes one more and hates on the other.
They naturally compete them in their mind.
Yeah, it's like naturally competing. But also, that's natural selection. That's life. That's the,
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of competition. I mean, I play tennis, so it's like
awesome.
There can only be like one number one player, There's Venus and Serena.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, they're both amazing. But also there's a big difference between the two. So yeah, it's like about proving yourself, but then also you have to be realistic and be like, that is life. It's like you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
Or you have to work hard if you really want it,
Yeah. Or even just to prove it, which
exactly,
is
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Well, my final question before we go into the next round, thank you so much for your honesty there, is you're someone who said that you don't want to be defined as a rapper. I have read that in an interview.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not just putting words in your mouth.
Yeah.
But obviously, with your presence, your voice, your clothing line, I don't think the world does see you that way at all. If you couldn't do music, what would you do with your world?
It would definitely be something creative. I was studying architecture, so I feel like I would probably be doing that because I just like to do things that are cool, and I'm probably elitist in a way. So it's like, you just want to reach for the best. So I'll probably be doing something like that, or like designing clothes or something.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Also, architecture explains why you did the geometry.
All the lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such
exactly.
a flowy guy. I'm like,
I'm such like a perfectionist type, but then also drawing buildings takes a long time, so I'm not that much of a perfectionist.
You know, I gotta eat.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta sleep.
Yeah. Unreal. All right. Well, the final questions I'm going to ask you, they're all quick questions.
Yeah.
Don't necessarily have to be quick answers.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, I guess we'll just get to it. Who was your childhood hero?
Definitely, probably Rihanna was one. Do you know what? I feel like Andre 3000 was, like, I was obsessed with Outkast. Like,
All right.
Yeah, just that song especially. That was just like, whoa. Childhood heroes. And then probably Serena Williams, because that's what I was aiming for up until like year 12. You know, I played tennis for like 10 years of my life, so.
Huge.
Yeah.
What's something that's overrated in your industry?
I'm trying to think of like being organized, like
Or like when you've got a specific 5-year plan and you have to stick to it kind of thing? Or do you
Yeah, I think just like over planning sometimes is overrated, because I feel like the best stuff that happens usually is really spontaneous sometimes. So I think, yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
I agree with that. All right, who's a creator or some creators who you think should have more recognition right now?
Definitely Sev Deliza. She's like I don't know where she's from. Maybe Ukraine. She's like another FK, like an FK Twigs, but like
sick,
more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Her stuff is more hip hop based, and they're both dope. But like I think she's really cool and should definitely.
Unreal.
She's dope. I can't really think of any other creators right now.
No, that's cool. One's enough.
But I think she's cool. Yeah,
Sweet
I love
as.
her music and her whole artistic direction and stuff.
Cool that a brand comes with music now. I mean, brand's probably the wrong word, but like an aesthetic, like you get the whole package of people.
Yeah,
which
for sure.
I love.
Yeah.
I love that it's not just one genre and only defined to that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a whole lifestyle experience, you know.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Best way to spend $50.
Oh, best way to spend $50 on anything with peanut butter. It's like
Just
peanut
anything?
butter ice cream.
So okay, not peanut butter and a brick.
Just like
yeah.
wait, all at once, or just have $50 and spend it on something.
No, I mean, if that's what you want to do, if you want to buy $50 worth of peanut butter, then heck.
Oh my god.
I'm here for
yeah,
it.
just like everything with peanut butter. Sounds like it'll be a painful hour after you like finish eating everything, but
heck, that's life.
it's lit.
Unreal. All right, finish the sentence. The world would be a better place if everyone just...
Stop being haters.
Hell yeah. You heard it here, guy in the comments. I'm coming to box you.
Let me get my shit.
So, well, we started out this interview talking about guilty pleasure tunes.
Yeah.
And there's a guilty pleasure tune that I love, which is Hollaback Girl. I actually have it. When we talked about tattoos that you won't want
It's
more, and we were talking
bananas.
about our jailhouse tattoos. I've got this shit as bananas.
Yeah.
But what I noticed is that Hollaback Girl has the exact same BPM as Awake.
Yes.
And I was wondering if maybe you'd do me the honours of perhaps giving me a verse of Awake to Hollaback Girl.
Sure.
Oh my God. All right.
We're about to do it.
This is all I ever wanted in life. A private Hollaback Girl Awake mashup. All right,
I hope I don't mess it up. I never realized how holistic I am till I speak to people.
I love it. I mean, like, that's like what I like about interviews in general.
Because you get. It's so interesting.
Yeah, which is cool. I think you interview very well, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, like.
I'm always wondering whether I say anything.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
you really do. Like, you're the type of person that I would listen to in an interview.
Oh.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yeah, so I was
you.
just loving this chat.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I enjoyed it as well.
Oh, awesome. All right.
Okay.
Hollaback Girl, Await, feat TK, and only TK.
Let's go. Hey, yeah, I take the world with my one hand, down in the dress, carry tricks in a bum bag, serving on the beach, up the heat, then I dispatch, cutting all the weak leeches like a wristband, late night hit, man, focus trying to get the big bag, bass big side, making it for the whiplash, ain't no motherfucker with a drip, quit a chit chat, had to post some niggas on my list like a tic tac, yeah, I don't really know how to be tied, woo, I don't really know how to be tied, woo, ADD my days like a ride, woo, if the beat is David, I'm Goliath, oh yeah, I don't really know how to be tied, yeah, waving black flag like a pirate, ooh, 24/7 I be wide, yeah, 365 I'm alive, yeah, late night probably awake, ooh, text me probably awake, ooh, FaceTime probably awake, rolling up and down the place, ooh.
Oh my God. That was freaking amazing. I feel great, just the one person clapping after that, but that was incredible. Thank you so much, TK. This has been one of my favourite chats that I've ever had, so thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. And also thank you for watching despite the audio quality. I'm aware that those microphones were a little bit tinny and I do apologise. Anyway, this has been episode 2 of Bad Portraits and there will be many more to come. So if you like what you saw, subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, well done on making it to the end. Kind of weird, but you did it. That's all from me and I'll catch you next time.